Hi, I'm Dave from Wilson's Barbecue, and in this video I'm going to show you how I like to cook the Australian Wagyu Brisket from Tom Hickson of Smithfield. So as I say, what we've got here is the Australian Wagyu Brisket. It's got incredible marbling throughout, really nice marbling in the flat muscle, which isn't all too common on briskets. When cooking briskets, it can be really easy to overcomplicate it. We're going to keep it really simple today, from the trim to the rub to the actual cook itself. We're going to be using my offset smoker today, but you can use a Weber kettle, you can use a Kamado, any kind of barbecue you want. If you're going to be using something like a kettle or a Kamado where the heat source is a bit closer to the meat, you may want to drop the temperatures down. When I'm cooking at around 135°C, you might want to drop that down to about 120 just to make sure that you don't burn anything. So when you get your brisket, you're going to find a side with a thick fat cap and then a side with a lot more lean meat. The fat cap side is the bit that we're going to focus on first, and we're going to trim that down to about half a centimetre all over. So just take a real sharp knife and just trim that fat off the top until you get about half a centimetre left all over. We're then going to flip it over. Any big pieces of fat you can trim off, but you don't really need to focus too much on this. It's not going to make a huge difference. We're going to season this up real simple with 50-50 salt and pepper, and we're going to use some yellow mustard just to make sure that that seasoning sticks. If your brisket's still got a tacky surface, you don't need to use any binder at all, but I'm going to do it just because my surface is starting to dry out. So 50-50 coarse salt and coarse pepper. So we've got our 50-50 salt and pepper. I've added a little bit of paprika in here just for a little bit of colour. And what we're going to do is start on the underside of the brisket. The fat side is our presentation side. So we want to start on the underside, and we're just trying to get a real thin layer of mustard. We're not trying to taste this at the end. All we're trying to do is provide a nice tacky surface so the rub sticks. You can use hot sauce, you could use water, you could use olive oil, you could use mayonnaise, you can use whatever you want. So we've got our salt, pepper and paprika, and we're just going to apply a pretty liberal coating of this all the way along. So flip that over, and as I say, this is our presentation side. So this is the side that we want to do last. And if you can, try and apply this from quite a height just so you get a real nice even distribution. So we've got our Australian Wagyu brisket trimmed up, shaped up, seasoned, we're ready to take it outside and put it on the pit. So we're running the smoker today at around 135 Celsius. We'll start off at around 120 and push our way up throughout the cook. So now we've got the brisket on the pit, we're just going to keep the temperature steady. I'm going to be running at about 120 Celsius for about 3 hours. We'll check it. If it's starting to burn in any places, we'll give it a spritz, and then we may push it up to around 135 Celsius, depending on how quickly we think the outside of that brisket is cooking. But for now, just watch the temperatures. Right, so we're 4 hours into this cook. We're just going to check the brisket for colour, make sure nothing's burning, and then let it keep cooking. So there you can see it's got a nice colour on it for 4 hours, nothing's burning. We're looking good. Put it back down, check on it again in about another 3 hours. Right, so it's been 7 hours. We've been keeping this temperature steady at about between 120 Celsius and 135 Celsius, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be ready to wrap. Right, so what we're looking for is a nice dark bark, but more importantly, when you push the fat in, so it should compress and it shouldn't kind of immediately spring back out. So that's when we know we're ready to wrap. Right, let's take this inside and get it wrapped. So our brisket is wrapped in the butcher paper. We're going to take it out, put it back on the smoker, and then we'll check it in about maybe 2 hours just to make sure that it's probing nice and tender, and we should be done. Use my Thermopen just to probe the flat of the brisket, and we're feeling very tender. So this just goes in like butter, so that lets me know that this is ready. We're going to take this inside and we're going to let it rest. The brisket is probing real tender. It cooked a little bit quicker because it is a Wagyu brisket, so it contains a lot more intramuscular fat, so it's going to cook a lot quicker than a leaner brisket. So all we need to do now, just like any real good piece of meat, is let it rest. So there are a number of different ways that you can let it rest. You can leave it on the kitchen side like I'm gonna do until it reaches an internal temperature of about 65°. Or if you want an even better end result, you can wrap it up in a tea towel, put it into a cool box and slow that rest time down. And what you wanna do is get to an ideal serving temperature, and that is about 65 Celsius. How you get there is completely up to you. So we'll come back in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We'll slice into it and see how we did. Right, so here we have it, the Wagyu brisket from Tom Hickson of Smithfield. You can see that it's super tender, real nice and wobbly, which is what we want. So let's cut into it. So we're gonna cut it down the middle, separate the point and the flat. And you can see loads of moisture in there. And then we turn point end, which is the bigger end, 90 degrees, and we take some slices from there. That Wagyu brisket, so much intramuscular fat there, real nice crusty bark. So this is the flat end. This is the end that is normally a lot leaner, but hopefully you can see the amount of juice in there, and it holds up nicely under its own weight, which is what we want, but just with a slight tug, it comes apart. Super juicy, just pull apart tender. Incredible flavour. Definitely give this one a go. So you can buy this brisket from the Tom Hickson of Smithfield website. Go over there, check it out. You won't be disappointed. Thanks very much for watching. If you do give this a go, drop a comment below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and let us know how you get on.